So I haven't made a video in a week, so let's try to sum up what happened over the past week. I've tried to make this video a couple of times, but you know, there are so many stupid people in this world that it makes it very difficult to make videos. Right now I've got some four-wheeler that was that passed me, was like talking to their passenger and slowed down by 10 miles per hour, and then I tried to pass them and they sped up to 75 to keep me from passing them, and they slowed back down on me. They were just speeding up and slowing down to try to keep me behind them. I don't know where they're at right now. I think they're behind me. But anyway, what happened over the past week? I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible. There's a speed trap ahead. And all these people keep speeding up when I'm passing them. When I'm behind them, they go slow. Whenever I try to pass them, they speed up. Bunch of four-wheelers behind me. They see a truck in the left lane and they speed up. Anyway, this video is starting to get interrupted already. So I had the APU, not the APU, but the coolant pressure issue. Two symptoms. One is the coolant level. Whenever the engine would, you turn the engine on, the coolant level would go down really low. And it would go down so low that even though it was completely full of coolant, the pressure would get so high in the reservoir. I don't know if it was pushing the pressure down or sucking, or if it was pushing the coolant down or sucking the coolant down. I don't know if it was a push or a pull. I think it was a push, but it was pushing the coolant level down so low in the reservoir, it was causing critical coolant errors, low coolant. And whenever a critical error occurs in this truck, it cuts power. I don't know exactly how. If it cuts horsepower somehow, or if it cuts throttle power. But I think it's throttle power that it cuts. But, so every time I would go over a hill or a mountain or anything that would stress the engine out, it would dump all my coolant out in the overflow, which was symptom number two, is the pressure would get so high that the pressure relief cap would dump coolant out. Whenever I'm going over a mountain, it's dumping all my coolant out, and I'm getting critical errors for low coolant. And oh my God, these damn four-wheelers just sitting out in the damn left-hand lane. There's still like 5 more that need to pass me before I can get out. Just a second. I have to like hyper focus on these vehicles in front of me because like this box truck is tailgating the hell out of that flatbed in front of me, so it's incredibly dangerous for me to be in that situation. I don't want this stupid jackass right here anywhere near me. This dumb shit in this box truck is so dangerous. Some young kid tailgating that close. Anyway, so those were my issues, and it was getting progressively worse. So it started out with as a, an inconvenient problem, and then it got to the point where every time I went over a mountain, I would have, once I got to the other side of the hill or mountain I went over, I would have to pull over, let the engine cool off, and then put coolant in, because it dumped all my even driving around in town under load in Portland to make my delivery, it was dumping coolant and throwing errors. So it progressively got worse very quickly over the course of a few days. From the time the issue started until I got to Portland was only a couple of days, like 2, maybe 3 days. And now the issue had been going on for a while, probably a week or 2 prior to that, but it progressed to the point where it got really bad really quick. So I made my delivery in Portland, and then I drove it over to the dealer. The dealer was not able to get me in that day. They told me they weren't going to be able to see me that day, so I went to Jubitz, popular truck stop in Portland. Troutdale, I'm not sure technically which town it's in. You go, soccer mom. You just go like 90 miles an hour in a 60. Got places to be. So I went to Jubitz. They let me drop the trailer there at the dealer, so I just bobtailed over to Jubitz, hung out there for the night, came back the next day. I had a lot of issues with the shop. They spent a lot of time troubleshooting my APU. Pissed me off. They also wanted to diagnose the check engine light. I told them no. Like, I had a lot of issues where I was having to keep them like focused on the issue at hand, because I only want them working on that one thing. The dealer is really slow and really expensive, so I only want the dealer to work on issues that I have to take it to the dealer to get worked on. I don't want them fucking with anything else because of how ridiculously expensive they are. So I was really frustrated and pissed off that they spent a lot of time troubleshooting my APU, and that they were, spending a lot of time that I was paying for doing stuff that I didn't ask them to do, and things that I explicitly told them not to do. I told them not to mess with the APU. I told them not to mess with the check engine light. I said I've already paid another dealer to troubleshoot the check engine light, and they charged me $400 to diagnose it, and they quoted me $1,500 to replace the sensor. I don't want you to mess with it. And I said, I know the APU has issues. I'm going to take it to an APU shop to get that fixed. Don't mess with the APU. Anyway, they quoted me $3,000 to replace the injector cups to fix the coolant pressure issue. And really, they were kind of completely lost on the whole thing, because they found that the system was leaking somewhere on their air pressure test, but they couldn't find the source, which was why they were troubleshooting my fucking APU. So I closed the cutoff valves to the coolant to the APU and told them that rules out, that cuts out the APU system. Stop messing with the APU. And I sat there and chatted with them, and we got to, they were looking at stuff, and I was telling them, explaining to them everything. And finally, after like 10 or 15 minutes of me explaining all the symptoms of the problem and what I've done to try to fix it, and what TA had me do, and what the cause and effect was, what happened when I did certain things. I told them I tried driving with the cap, partially closed to relieve some pressure. All kinds of stuff like that. And after explaining everything, then he said that it was the injector cups. Without, any further troubleshooting, just me explaining all the symptoms. Which is why I really prefer to talk with the damn mechanics instead of only... I hate it. The dealer, at TA, I can talk directly with the mechanics. At the dealer, you're disconnected from the mechanics. The front office people write down what you tell them in shorthand, and then give that to the mechanic. And I think that's one of the reasons it takes the dealers so long to troubleshoot an issue. But whenever I finally got in there and I talked to the mechanic, about 15 minutes later, he told me it was the injector cups. Well, I paid the $3,000 estimate that they gave me. They said that is a high estimate to cover any possible hoses and clamps and fittings that they may have to replace extra. They said that if they don't have to replace any of that stuff, then it's going to be lower than that. It ended up being $2,560, I think. $2,560 roughly. 25 something is what it ended up actually being. And it appears to have fixed the pressure issue. I tried the APU after the coolant pressure issue was fixed, and the APU still has its own problems. The APU is still overheating. I don't think the water pump is working on the APU. So what ended up happening? So let me give you the time frame. So I made my delivery in Portland Wednesday morning at like 11 a.m. and went to the dealer directly after they finished unloading me at about 1. Oh my God. This person they're doing it. They're pushing the pedal as hard as it'll go. And she was like looking over her shoulder. You can tell it. And she's like trying to push the car. She was trying to will it to go faster. And she kept looking over her shoulder to see if she was going faster than me. It was quite dangerous what she did in that little beater car, trying to race me to get in front of me. She should have just fell in behind me. But, that's not what people do. They don't do what's safe or reasonable. It's all about being first, or somebody having something that they don't. It's all a big race. So somebody can get there faster or have more or whatever. Anyway, so this whole thing started after my delivery last Wednesday. The dealer was not able to get me in the shop Wednesday. They diagnosed the issue on Thursday. I went back to the truck stop Thursday night. They didn't have time to work on the truck Thursday. I brought it back in Friday. They worked on it all day Friday, and I got the truck Friday afternoon at like 6 p.m. And then I went back to the TA truck stop in Troutdale, and I was in the TA truck stop in Troutdale until this morning. This is Tuesday morning. Is it Tuesday or is it Wednesday? Today is, I'm quite certain today is Tuesday. Yeah, pretty sure today is Tuesday morning. No, today is Wednesday, isn't it? Yep. I think today is Wednesday. I'm not really sure what day it is. Let's see here. Does this tablet say what day it is? It does not. I think today's Tuesday. Alright, let's go with Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. It might be Wednesday. Let me try and think for just a second. So, started looking for a load on Monday, and the load work was really sparse. And what did I do Monday nights? Yeah, I think today's actually Wednesday. Yeah, I do. I think it's Wednesday. Wrong on that, but I think it's Wednesday. here's the problem, is that once I found out that I had this mechanical issue, like Monday, Tuesday of last week, I stopped looking for loads because I had to get this truck into the shop and I didn't know when it was going to be fixed. So I did not look for a load. And I didn't look for a load. I mean, I continued looking at the load board just to see what was there, but I wasn't looking, for a load, and I wouldn't have picked up a load if I would have found an awesome load. So I couldn't really look. I was not going to pull a load until I was sure the issue was resolved. So even once they told me that they think it was the injector cups, the guy told me he couldn't be 100% sure it was the injector cups. He said based off everything I told him, he was like 90% sure that it was the injector cups, but he couldn't be 100%. So I had to wait until I got the truck after the road test and after they confirmed the issue was resolved, like Friday night at 5-6 p.m. That's when I finally was comfortable looking for a load. And I started looking for a load Friday night at 5-6 p.m. Now, even whenever I am in USA Truck's normal operating area over on the east, east of I-35, it is nearly impossible to find a load on the weekend. It is harder to find a load on the weekend over here on the West Coast, outside of their normal operating area, because they have brokered freight on the load board everywhere, even in their normal operating area out east, but they don't have any contract freight over on the west. So over on the east, in their normal operating area, they have a lot of contract freight and they have a lot of brokered freight. Over here on the west, the only thing they have is brokered freight. So I have much less freight on the load board over here operating in the west. Well, I'm sorry, four-wheeler, you just get pissed off. He sped up when he saw I was approaching this truck. Shit, there's a line of people. I'm gonna have to leapfrog. One four-wheeler coming at me really fast, the left-hand lane. I didn't want to get jammed in behind this truck. And then there was another four-wheeler behind that one, and if I got jammed in behind this truck, it would slow past me. So I'm going to pass this guy, get behind the lumber truck, let these four-wheelers around, and then make a decision on whether or not I want to get out here and pass every truck in Oregon or change my cruise. Destination. Okay, so there were no loads. Okay, to give you an idea of what the load board was like, everything coming out of Portland was paying absolute crap, like less than $1 a mile, and everything was going into markets that also paid absolute crap. So all the loads were going to Washington and other places in Oregon, and they were paying like 80-90 cents a mile. And the stuff coming out of those places that these loads were going to were also paying like 80-90 cents a mile, or there were no loads at all in those areas. So I only have a couple of places that I can go out of Portland that pay worth a damn. Northern California or Southern California. Those are basically my only two options to leave Portland to get a decent paying load. Now, Northern California doesn't pay very well. It's decent. It's okay. It's not great. It's like decent. Southern California had some really nice loads, like some $5-6 a mile loads. Like there was a load going to Salt Lake that was not on the load board for very long, so I snagged that thing up. But it was going to Salt Lake City from the LA area. It was like 600 something miles, 650 miles, we'll say. I think it was 680 or something. But it was paying $3,000. That was not including fuel surcharge. Fuel surcharge would have probably been another $100 on top of that or more. So it's paying somewhere probably around $3,200 for like a 650 mile run. Now Salt Lake for USA Truck is kind of a bad freight area. I don't know how it is on, normally, but USA Truck's load board versus what normal freight markets are, they're two different things. Portland is probably a really hot place to pull freight normally on, in normal freight markets, but on USA Truck's load board, Portland kind of sucks. As far as West Coast cities, it is, a decent city. There's a lot of loads coming out of there in comparison to other places, but it's all cheap crap. The LA area is about the only place over here on the West Coast on USA Truck's load board that has good paying loads. Everything else over here on the West Coast pays shit. There's occasionally a good load that comes out of Northern California. The Oakland, San Francisco, Sacramento, Stockton, Lodi, Lathrop, that area in Northern California, there's occasionally a good load that comes out of there. Good loads are much more common coming out of Southern California, though. So, what it boiled down to was it did not matter which direction or where I went out of Portland. The only place that I saw loads coming out of Portland going that would get me into a market where I could actually get something that paid worth a damn was going to Southern California. So I was basically just sitting there waiting on a Southern California load to pop up. Now, I knew it was going to pay dog shit. I knew it was going to be $1 a mile run. But it would get me into a market where I would actually be able to make money and try to recoup that $3,000 or $2,500 something that I lost on this engine repair, and then the other money that I'm going to lose on getting the APU repaired. And I have spent an incredible amount of money on fuel letting the truck idle for a week at the truck stop. I probably spent, oh my goodness, 150 gallons in it. Like, I don't know, it burns like half a gallon to a gallon per hour, and I was there for a week, so 7 times, I don't know, let's say 7 times, somewhere around 14 gallons per day. That's how many gallons that I burned. I don't even really want to think about it. It kind of like takes the air out of my balloon. So, that's a big mountain off to the left. I don't know if you can see it. I think that might be Shasta. I thought Shasta was further south, though. That's probably not Shasta. Some big mountains in Oregon. Alright, what else? What else is there? So I finally got a load to Southern California, San Bernardino. It's a really shitty load. It pays like 80-90 cents a mile. I didn't even figure out exactly how much it pays because I didn't want to get depressed. So it's like 900 miles, and I have to deadhead 130 miles just to get there to pick it up, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm on that 130 mile deadhead right now. I think in Springfield, Oregon is where I'm picking up at. Not 100% on that. But I was in Portland, and I'm going down to Springfield to pick up the load. And I'm going to go ahead and speed up to pass a little bit faster because the four-wheelers sitting in there, I think there was somebody sitting in the driver's seat. Even though I sped up and I'm flying by these trucks at a pretty good pace, these four-wheelers are still pissed off behind me that I'm walking the left-hand lane. So I'm going to try to wrap this video up pretty quick because I think I'm getting pretty close to Springfield. I think I'm within 30 miles of Springfield. Not sure exactly how far away I am. But this load pays, I think, $1,100. It's 900 miles loaded, 130 miles empty. I only get 65% of the $1,100. So I'm getting like $800 or something for the load, and then fuel surcharge is probably like another $80 or something. So I'm getting like 80 cents a mile on this load. I really thought about just deadheading because I was sitting there thinking, man, driving down there loaded, and this is a max weight load. This is a 40,000+ pound load. I'm not really sure, like, it's probably going to cost me an extra $100 in fuel because I'm going to be loaded versus empty. So I'm going to make, like, after fuel and everything, I may make like $300 on this load. But basically this load is just paying for my fuel, is all this load is doing. I'm not too thrilled about this load, but it's getting me to Fontana basically. And I'm really hoping to get a load coming out of Fontana headed east that pays really well. I'm looking for something that's paying like $4 or $5 a mile to offset this shitty load. That's the reason I took this load. There were some slightly better paying loads. Actually, no, they were paying about the same. Everything coming out of Portland was paying about what this is, about 80, 90 cents a mile. Everything out of Portland was paying absolute shit. It's like I'm paying to haul other people's shit, and it pisses me off. And I think this is delivering directly to a grocery store. The delivery is at 12:30 a.m. So I think that I'm going to be there after the grocery store closes. Or if it's a 24-hour, then, you know, I think I'm delivering directly to a grocery store, what it boils down to. I don't think I'm delivering to a distribution center. Which is another thing that really sucks. And like everything about this is a load that I wouldn't even think twice about picking this load. This is not something I would ever touch. But I'm kind of desperate to get out of Portland and to get south. And I have seen better loads than this one going to the LA area. But like I've been sitting at the truck stop for a week, so I needed to get the hell out of there. So this thing popped up and I snagged it. I still have not found a load coming out of Southern California. I haven't had an opportunity to look yet today. I didn't bother looking before I left because they normally don't start putting new loads on the load board until after 8 a.m. So while I'm getting loaded, I plan on looking at the load board to try to find a load coming out of California after this one. I need to get home. I've been away from my house a lot longer than I expected I would be. Like, I expected that I would be home right about now is when I planned on being at my house. And I'm probably still a week or two away from getting home. So, yeah, I'm going to have to call up some people and make some arrangements because of that. Like, it's kind of screwing some shit up at the house. So I'm probably never going to come back out west again unless I have a return load already already. Like if I find a load that's going to LA that's paying well, and I'm able to book a load coming out of LA that's paying well to get me back east, yeah, I'll still come out west. But I don't think I'm ever going to come out west again while I'm with USA Truck without having a return load, and just kind of like getting stuck out here. Now, I don't think it would have been that big of a deal if I didn't have the breakdown. The breakdown is really what screwed this up badly. Because if I didn't have the breakdown, then I'm pretty sure that I would have had a load. I wouldn't have had anywhere remotely close to the downtime that I had. I would have been able to book a load. There were loads going to Southern California that I could have booked, but I didn't book them because I didn't know when the truck was going to be fixed. So I don't think it was all in all a bad thing. It's just that the breakdown really screwed me over. So we're back on track now, and I'm hoping that there's going to be a really badass load that's going to make this all worthwhile. That I'm going to be able to get coming out of Southern California. Now, here's another thing. Monday, there wasn't any load that I could find that I wanted. There weren't any good loads on Monday. So, when was it? It was, when I made the delivery on Wednesday, my driver manager messaged me and asked me if I wanted some help finding a load. And I replied back and told them that I was, in a breakdown, and I didn't know when it was going to be fixed, so I'm not looking for a load right now. And she's like, all right, thanks. So Monday, I messaged her and I was like, hey, do you have the ability to find me a load that's not listed on the load board? And she said, yeah, I can get with my manager, the operations manager, and she can go and try to find me a brokered load. She can go try to broker a load for me, basically. And she asked me what I was looking for. And I said, well, I'm not, where I was looking to go. And I said, well, I'm not looking to go anywhere in particular. I'm just looking for high rate loads, well-paying loads. Looking for ideally something that's light, that's getting me into a good freight area, that's paying well. I said, I'm not trying to get anywhere specific. I'm just looking for a good load. And she said, all right. We'll look for something for you, but I can't make any guarantees on what oh, and I also said in my message, please don't just assign something to me. Check with me before you get the load. And she basically replied back to me, and I'm trying to remember exactly how she worded it. She basically said, well, we can't make those guarantees. Basically what she was saying is that if I ask them to broker a load for me, they'll get whatever they can, and that's just what I'm going to be stuck with. And that's not exactly how she said it, but that's basically what she was saying to me. And I told her, don't worry about it. I said, if I'm not going to have any say in the load, if I'm not going to be able to pick the load, then I'll deal with what's on the load board. Now, this is a conversation that went back and forth using messages on the tablet. So this took like an hour and a half for this conversation to take place. And I think that maybe that was a really bad blowout. That back left tire was just shredded. I think that maybe she had already contacted her operations manager, and Marcia had started looking for a load for me and started trying to broker a load before I told them don't bother if I'm not going to be able to choose, whether or not I want the load or to have any say in it. no, I'm not going to just fall back to being a company driver and just let them throw whatever the hell they want onto me. Well, about an hour after I told them don't bother with it, a new load popped up on the load board out of Portland going to Massachusetts. 3,000 mile load, paying $4,800. And it was a max weight load, like 43,000 pound load, going from Portland to Massachusetts, paying dog shit. Paying like $1 a mile for 3,000 miles. Your whole week making $1 a mile. I think that's the load that they were going to assign to me. I think that's the load that they were reaching out and they were going to broker for me. And when I told them no, they just threw it onto the load board. So I'm glad that I told them don't bother, because there's no way in hell that I would have pulled that load. It was a really, 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 really shitty load. The toll cost, oh my, everything, like, it was a really heavy load, so fuel cost would have been high. It was keeping me up in high fuel cost areas, and the toll cost would have been really high. Like, because the weight of the load and the area it was going and everything, and it was paying really low per mile, like, that load was so bad. It was a horrible load. So yeah, I was really, like, no way in hell I would have picked that crap. But what did I end up grabbing? I ended up grabbing a load going to San Bernardino, some grocery chain that I'd never heard of before. I can't remember what the name of the grocery chain is. But it's picking up, it's, what's the charcoal brisket, like, little things that you smoke out back. Kingsford, that's it. I'm picking up at a Kingsford distribution center and taking it, not a distribution center, but like a Kingsford. I don't know if they make the crap there in this place, or if it's a distribution center or whatever it is, but I'm picking up at Kingsford, and I'm delivering to some grocery chain in San Bernardino, and I'm not sure if I'm delivering directly to a store in San Bernardino or to a distribution center. Whenever I was looking at the load, it doesn't give you exact addresses on pickup or delivery. It just tells you the name of the business and the city. So I searched for the name of the business, the grocery chain, in San Bernardino, and there were like 5 or 6 results. So there were several stores there, and I think there was a distribution center. So if I'm picking up an entire truckload of, like, the charcoal, it is highly unlikely I'm taking an entire damn truckload of charcoal to one store. I'm probably taking it to a distribution center, because one store doesn't need that much charcoal. I hope I'm taking it to a distribution center. I don't want to deliver to a store. The only good thing about delivering to a store directly is you typically don't have to deal with lumpers or a whole lot of drama. But because the stores don't deal with shippers all day, every day, that's just part of their job. They're a little more casual, which is good and bad. I don't know, sometimes delivering directly to a store isn't that bad, especially if I'm going to be delivering in the middle of the night at like midnight. Then, I shouldn't have to deal, like, one of the worst things about delivering directly to a store is driving in traffic. Oh, shit. This is Springfield. It's up here. Alright, I'm going to need to wrap up this video so I can listen to my GPS. I think I'm going to fall back in behind this guy. I'm going to go ahead and pass him because for anywhere in particular coming out of Southern California. I'm not looking for something going straight home or to or through my house, but that would be ideal. So to mop off here so that I can see the GPS. I really like to be able to see the GPS so I can see, like, I don't like waiting until it tells me over voice, you know, there's going to be a left turn. I like knowing ahead of time whether I'm going to be making a left or a right. So I'll start making more videos. The last week I've basically just been sitting in the back of the truck playing video games. So now I'm working again, so videos will start streaming in. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.